Yo, 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 what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, the franchise player, Double B Bad Blood, joined here once again on the special edition of the Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast brought to you by BodySlam.net. And today, I have a very special guest. It is an honor, all pun intended, to have the man who I consider the star maker. There's Vince McMahon, there's Vern Gagne, and then there's Cary Silkin. Cary, how are you doing today?
Very well. Thank you for throwing me in that incredible company.
Hey, I'll tell you, man, you have earned it.
I paid for 100%
that. Earned it. So, let's get into this real quick. I mean, I know you're a busy man. Like I said, thank you very much for giving us a few minutes of your time. Let's talk about the beginning, man. 2004 to 2011, you were the history maker. You were like the man who created how can I say this? A movement in professional wrestling. What made you decide to start Ring of Honor and implore some of the history-making techniques to bring wrestling to the new era?
Well, technically, I didn't start it, but I was there about 8 months in, and I obtained sole ownership in March of 2004. So from 2004 till 2011, I was the CEO, owner, boss, promoter of Ring of Honor. We're talking about an era where guys like Low-Ki, Samoa Joe, CM Punk, Nigel McGuinness, Austin Aries, Jamie Noble. The list just goes on and on and on. And I was, I out of my passion for the love of pro wrestling, Double B, a good man wouldn't have, a smart man who knew finances would have been like, a kid would have said, get rid of this thing. But due to my passion, due to my ego, due to that, I knew we had an awesome product. It seems like yesterday, but it seems like a million years ago. The landscape of pro wrestling was so different in 2004, 5, 6. But I held on despite any business logic, but I loved the product. And thanks to my other primary business being in the ticket resale field, I was able to keep Ring of Honor afloat. And I'm glad I did. We had so many good eras. And we were dealing, and it goes on in wrestling to this day. There's an attrition rate, just like, in pro sports, guys come and go. Guys are looking for the next push. I'm not going to expect a Bryan Danielson or a Seth Rollins, Tyler Black, or a Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, to stay in Ring of Honor forever. Everybody wants to, try to do the best for themselves and their families and their careers. So we were a feeder system, a launching pad, whatever other, things you want to try to call us, but we put the talent out there, and in Ring of Honor, these guys had, a nice level playing field to present their art.
A lot of guys, and that's true. A lot of guys, use Ring of Honor as a launching pad. I mean, you mentioned some names. I mean, look, Samoa Joe. You got my boy Homicide, a very good friend of Homicide. You got a young guy, Brian Malonis. Brian Malonis, I had him on the podcast. I've known him for a long time, and he credits you as one of the guys that gave him an opportunity. Brutal Bob Evans. You got guys like Tyler Black.
Going into New England, let's not forget Matt Taven.
Yeah, Matt Taven.
Cruz and Todd Sinclair. Not to mention Vinny, the Horror King. There's just
See,
so many others, but go ahead.
all these guys you gave opportunities to, the Young Bucks, Christopher Daniels. I for one got to stand under the learning tree with Christopher Daniels when I was with UPW in California,
Okay.
and that guy learned a lot by working with you. A lot of people, Jim Cornette, like you've dealt with so many major people, and Ring of Honor was the doorway to professional wrestling. I mean, quite honestly, like all BS aside, CM Punk made his return to professional wrestling, and the thing he said was, when I left Ring of Honor is when I left professional wrestling.
It was very flattering when he said that. And funny thing is, and I don't speak for Sinclair, because I'm not involved in the business. We almost had CM Punk prior to the pandemic. There was a deal on the table with Punk and Danielson to come
Oh,
back to
wow.
Ring of Honor, but it didn't happen. But yeah, man, I'm glad I was able to help to give these opportunities to these guys, and I'm glad these guys were helped to give me the thrills. And you're talking about a dude who used to scalp tickets, and you're talking to a man who used to scalp tickets in front of Madison Square Garden in the late '80s and '90s. I know I'm old. We're talking about at Knicks and Rangers games. We're talking about at every concert that would be there, and I would hustle tickets on the streets. And if they, like remember in high school they would have like an award, most likely to succeed.
Yeah.
I was most unlikely to succeed.
Oh man, but look what you've
I had
done.
hey, all these guys always talk about their demons.
Mm-hmm.
Once an addict, always an addict. And, I'm an addict, and I had years and years and years, and even till this day, my battles with substances. So it's not like I'm going to wake up tomorrow. If I do, and it's gone. It's an everyday battle.
Exactly.
But anyway, I was able to keep it together and keep Ring of Honor going. Not only did I never make any money, all it did was lose money, lose money, lose money, and couldn't find a buyer. We went through the time when Samoa Joe and Punk left us. They put a fork in us. We're done. 2006. Then Brian and Nigel, Aries, Jimmy Jacobs, Roderick Strong came in, Claudio Castagnoli, Cesaro. We had like a new crew. And brings us to September of 2009, when simultaneously on one night, we lost Brian Danielson and Nigel McGuinness. That was in September in New York City. And they were both leaving. And so now what are we going to do? Well, that very night in New York City, luckily, or fortunately, Jim Cornette parted ways with TNA a few weeks before that. Homicide, New York's own, right, was available, and he hadn't been in the Ring of Honor ring for a little bit. So with Brian and Nigel leaving, we brought in Cornette and Homicide that night. Hey, it was like sort of like a magic trick. It's like people, and it's like for the pain of losing Brian and Nigel, well, holy shit, Cornette and Homicide are back
Just
here.
show up.
So this and this continued on, with the rise of Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards and Tyler Black, and once again Roderick Strong and Adam Cole, and on and on and on and on. But I couldn't find anyone to buy the company. I couldn't keep losing money. But I just didn't, once again, I knew we had something good, because I am a lifetime pro wrestling fan. We're talking about many, many years. And thanks to Jim Cornette, who knew Gary Juster, who booked the buildings for NWA, WCW, and Gary knew Joe Koff from Sinclair. And it took over a year to get the deal done. And it wasn't like they were paying me so much money, but it was something. and it also kept the brand out there. And Joe Koff, God bless him, wanted me to stay because I was sort of the face of the company and everybody knew good old Cary. And which brings us to this past Saturday when, I used to think, Matt, how much bigger of a highlight could I get than there I was scalping tickets for a Metallica show in 1988, but there I am in the ring in 2019 at Madison Square Garden, and
Right?
like this is my man. This isn't like hitting the lottery. This is like hitting the Powerball.
Wow.
So unlikely. But this past Saturday, even though we had 1,500 people, not 15,000 people, even though we didn't have New Japan's involvement, there was just a very special feeling to the show. There was a mix of emotions. Guys were sad, some guys were angry, people were happy. It was very, very, very intense, and but it was a great show.
Let me ask you this. After this past weekend, I mean, I'm really good friends with Shane Taylor. You know, I'm really good friends with a lot of people that work for Ring of Honor. So it really hit me hard when the news came down that Ring of Honor was shutting down. Um, with what happened this last past weekend, you in the ring, you're getting the hugs, you're getting all the love.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make you feel today, December 15th, 2021, fresh off the heels of the quite possibly the last event Ring of Honor holds? How does that make you feel to look at all the history that has been made with this company and what impact you've had on the business?
Well, you're very complimentary, and it was It was very overwhelming. I mean, you've been in the business, you know what it's like.
Mhm.
Even if one or two people come up to you, hey, that was a great match. Hey, man, can you sign this? Hey, can I get a selfie? Whatever.
Yeah,
But
it's
I was having that
surreal.
happen like hundreds of times Saturday, and it's happened before, but not quite like this. Um, I feel very blessed. I feel very happy. I don't really want it to be over. Who does?
Yeah,
But we'll see. Listen, hopefully in April, we'll be in Texas with Super Card of Honor. Nothing's official, far from official, but we got some good champions in place. Jonathan Gresham. I mean,
amazing talent.
talk about a star. The Briscoes. I was running down all those Ring of Honor names. I
Hmm.
left off the Briscoes. I left off Jay Lethal.
Oh no, you can't leave off them. They're stable. There's
Jay
still work
Lethal's
staples.
he's like my son, and my other sons, my West Coast sons, are the Young Bucks. But
Yeah,
yeah, we got Gresham, Briscoes with the tag belts. Rhett Titus, an unsung, long-time Ring of Honor star with the TV championship, and Josh Woods with the pure belt, and Roxy with the women's title. So these belts are going to be defended. Josh Woods has a couple of shows this weekend. Jonathan Gresham is doing this Terminus project. It's in Atlanta. It's in January. He's going to be on the show defending the ROH, the original belt, as well as Josh Woods. Lethal's going to be there,
oh wow.
whether he's AEW or not. To me, he's always Ring of Honor. So there's still I think the road is still we still got some road to go down.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I mean, I'm glad to hear you say that because I was kind of worried about the way I was going to ask you what your thoughts were on Ring of Honor becoming a super indie as it was told. Um, but in reality, Ring of Honor has been like the super of super indies because you guys have created so many names that like you got the Bucks, like you said, the Briscoes, Jay Lethal, you got the bouncers. You got you got
Mike
Rick Titus.
Taven, Mike Bennett, Matt Taven,
Mm-hmm.
Kyle. We're talking about, it just is Silas Young,
I love Silas.
Shane Taylor. What a friggin' job Shane Taylor has
Oh my
done
God, yes. I
over the
texted him
last,
the other day. I
you
asked
know,
him, I said, "How you feel?" He's like,
right.
I'm
And
dying."
like, when Keith Lee split, it was sort of like, but Shane Taylor is the man, and he worked hard. There were some beautiful moments Saturday, and Shane Taylor. The match of Here's another name. How did I leave out my friend Kenny King? The
Oh yeah,
match he
I
had
love that
with
double
Kenny
K.
King. Oh my God! And they're not no. I don't want to mess around with those guys, but
No.
Kenny's not known as like, a table and ladder kind of guy, but he can do it. And they tore the house down. There was only one thing wrong with that match. You want to know what it was?
Did they end
Somebody
it?
had to follow it.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was, it was the girls. And I felt bad for them because the air got sucked out of the building. And Roxy and the other girl, Willow, eventually got the crowd back into it.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Deppen, Brody King, Flamita, Red
That
Aura.
10-man tag match was amazing.
It's ridiculous.
The
I'm
finish.
leaving I'm not looking at any notes. I'm leaving names out here.
I had LSG on the show the other night. I did an interview with him,
Right.
and he was like, "Man, I will tell you." I asked him, "So how do you feel after that match?" He's like, "Dude, it was so phenomenal. We went out there, and it was like we knew this was the end, so we showed up and we showed out." You know.
LSG has a huge future. Cheeseburger. You mentioned Brian Malonis, and Beer City Bruiser, the Bouncers. They're excellent. Look, hopefully these guys will Ring of Honor or not. There's places for them to work, whether it's NWA, whether it's Impact, whether it's going overseas, if you could do that anymore, with all this pandemic stuff. But
Yeah.
you can't hold good talent down. What is like my grandmother would say, the cream rises to the top, right?
Always. Always. So let me ask you just before I let you go. Give me your, and I know this is gonna be real hard for you.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna throw it out there because it's gonna be really hard for you because you're like the father of Ring of Honor. What would you consider Ring of Honor's Mount Rushmore?
I got asked this the other day, and so at least I got a little, and it was asked to me by Chris Jericho.
Oh, okay.
So,
There you go.
and I'm going to give you the same answer. And when I started answering it with Jericho, and in all due respect to Jericho, I think you have a lot. Chris didn't have a lot of points of reference with ROH as opposed to you. Anyway, I said to him, and I'm going to say to you, well, the first person, you got to put the Briscoes. You got to give us a little break here.
So we'll use the Briscoes as one person. We'll do that.
Right, exactly. Thank you. You got the Briscoes. You got Samoa Joe.
Ooh.
You got Jay Lethal. You got CM Punk. And then I was like, wait a minute. I go, Chris, I'm sorry. I think we need another Mount Rushmore. Kevin Steen, AJ Styles, Nigel McGuinness. Holy shit. I'm forgetting about Jerry Lynn. The Young Bucks, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Michael Elgin, Tomas. I mean, there's just so many. There's so many. Matt Taven. There's just so many. And you know who else you got to put on that Mount Rushmore, as part of the statue? Ring announcer Bobby Cruz and referee Todd Sinclair.
Yes.
These are the two. I'm sorry, Justin Roberts. I'm sorry, nameless referees of WWE. These are the best guys in the business, and as being in the business, you need all these components to do a good show.
Exactly.
It's like You ain't gonna have Jay-Z go on and have a half-ass bass player, right?
True
You gotta
statement.
have all the parts there, right?
Oh man,
So yeah, that's that would be my quick answer. And
that was a
I'm
good
leaving
answer.
homicide off.
Oh, you can't leave homicide off.
He's he'd smack me. Yeah,
You're probably gonna
yeah,
smack me for having you answer this question.
yeah. There's so many people. And I want to just for real quick. I don't want to leave on a bummer note, but God bless Jimmy Rave.
I was gonna ask you
R.I.P.
about Jimmy.
R.I.P. Jimmy. But man, we've had a hell of a run. It's not over. Hey, maybe I'll see you in Texas in April.
You know what? I actually will be in Texas. I'm wrestling that weekend.
All right.
So
Well,
yeah, I
listen,
will be
let's
there.
stay in touch.
Yeah.
You're a good man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And why don't we do this again when I'm a little more prepared and we have a little
Oh,
more time?
hey man, look, there's always a seat at the table for you. You can come anytime you want. You just message me and say, "Hey, I want to be on the show." Boom, you're on the show. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Well, I'm always happy to be on Pro Wrestling Podcast. Always happy to be with the franchise player, Bad
Thank you, sir.
Blood, Double B. You, before we go, you want to know something?
Shoot.
Bobby Cruz, that's his nickname, Double B. You want to know why?
Cause you double B bad.
Because, well, no, not him. Because, and it was real quick. Road story. We're driving from Dayton to Chicago on a hot
Hmm.
on a hot on a
Oh my
hot
god.
afternoon, and Bobby's wearing shorts, and it's me in the back. It's him and Jimmy Rave in the back, and Todd driving, and me in the front. And I hear Jimmy Rave go, "Ew!" And Bobby Cruz had his nut sack out the shorts, beanbag, double B. But he ain't as badass as
He was
Bad
giving him
Blood.
the bat wing.
Listen, man, thank you so
Oh
much.
man. Hey man, thank you very much for joining us, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the man, the myth, and the legend, Cary
Cary
Silkin.
Silkin.
Sir, you have a good night, and thank you very much for joining us.
All right, thanks, my man.
No worries. You have a good night.
Was that good?
Yep, that was great.